All right, what up? This is Joe, and from me to you, my guest today, we got Jarrett, Black Rose, Snipe. What's going on, Jarrett?
What's up, man? What's up?
Man, nothing much. Appreciate you joining me today.
Man, I appreciate you having me, bro.
That's what's up. Well, let's go on and kick it off. To get us started, let's start by sharing a little bit about where you grew up, where you were born, and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. Been there, born and raised. Moved around when I was in the military. Moved around quite a bit with the military, but that's home for me, man. Love Memphis. Grew up there. Most of my family's there, so that's where I came from, man. Then I moved up here. I probably moved up here, like I say, about 6 years ago. So yeah, this is my new home now. So yeah.
That's what's up. Well, just we kind of start from back then, and when you were in Memphis. I guess tell me, like, what was that your hometown like when you were growing up?
Yeah. So I grew up in Hyde Park, North Memphis, man. So that's my old stomping ground. North Memphis, they get the best rep. Coming out of Memphis, we'll get the best rep. But eventually, we moved us out to Germantown, where I went to Germantown High School. But growing up in Memphis, in my neighborhood, man, it has its ups and downs, but like any other city. But I love growing up in Memphis, man. You got basketball and barbecue, man. That's what you grew up on down there in Memphis, man. So yeah.
No, that's what's up. So still, I guess within your childhood, Rand, kind of explain a little bit about your childhood, like growing up, I guess still like in Memphis, like what type of activities did you do? Were you doing sports in school or?
Yeah, man, I did everything. My mom tried to keep me busy. She kept me busy. I played, like growing up in Memphis, of course. Yeah. Your first love is basketball.
Gotcha.
You got basketball because you got the Tigers, man. Like before we got the Grizzlies, like the Tigers was our NBA team. So your first love, you pick up a basketball. That's the first thing you do, man. So you playing basketball, went from football, ran track, baseball. So when I was younger, I stuck with a lot of basketball, and my uncles, we dabbled a little bit in into other sports, but originally, man, it was all basketball, street ball. Because everywhere you go, every neighborhood, there's a basketball court. Like you can be in the middle of an apartment complex, they got a basketball court there. It's a goal in the middle of the street. It's something. So you always got ball there, and so that was one of the first things we did. Doing that and martial arts, stuff like that. You know what I mean, to keep me busy. But she always kept me busy, man.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I'm assuming you were raised by your mother. Is that right?
Yeah, man.
Do you have any siblings?
I do through my father. My father, yeah, man. I got two sisters and a brother. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Shout out to them. Cool. Leading on, I guess, throughout your childhood, you high school, did you go straight to college, or I heard you mention the military as well?
Yeah. So right out of high school, I mean, of course, I signed up in high school actually in my senior year. During my senior year, I signed up for the military. Did a semester or two of college. I was gonna play ball there, and was gonna play rugby there as well, because that's another sport that I played in high school was rugby. And right after that, we went right into the military, man, and served 6 years as an engineer. So, I dabbled in quite a bit, during that time frame. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just like curiosity, like what influenced your decision to go to the military?
Oh man, so it's kind of crazy. Part of the reason why I went, it sounds crazy when I tell people, is I went to the military because somebody told me I couldn't. And it was a gift and a curse at the same time, because I did it to show somebody. Like I went into it originally for the wrong reasons, and that's part of the reason why I say it's a curse, because I went into it for the wrong reasons. I went in because there was a former Marine. He was like, hey man, my soldiers can do this, my soldiers can do that. Like you play football, you do this, you do that, but what do you really do? Like what else can you? And I'm like, man, I can do everything.
Yeah.
So he challenged me, and when you challenge me, I'm like, hey man, it's game on from there. So went into the military, and signed up there, and it's just kind of crazy, because I mean I have my family, I got two uncles that I got three uncles that were actually in the military. One was in the Navy, one was a Marine, and then another was in the Army. And I spent my 6 years in the Army, and got good advice from my uncles, and it changed my life though. It changed my life. It created a level of discipline that I didn't have, especially coming out of high school, playing ball. I'm thinking I'm on top of the world, and like most kids, they feel like they're invincible. Yeah. They can't be touched. And when you get into the military, they break you down. They break you all the way down to where you're willing and able to learn and find out those new qualities, and you find out more about yourself than you think you know what I mean? Sometimes you don't know yourself as well as you think.
Yeah. Did you have like a particular point where you figured out like, okay, well, I guess maybe I've humbled myself, and now I'm trying to now take advantage of like the training, I guess, and all the resources that I'm learning from the Army. Was it like a particular breaking point that you were kind of just mentioning there? So they take you and break you down.
Yeah. Like, I think the toughest part for me was when I went through training. It was I'm pretty sure it's very, very notorious when you go through basic training is the gas chamber. And that was one of those things to where it's like you basically you're in the chamber, you're being gassed, and you have to, work your way out of it. And that's when I knew then, like, your mental capacity. Like, you start to learn, like, how strong you can be mentally, like where you can take your body. You can push your body into limits that you never thought you could push, especially mentally. So during that time frame and during that process, it was just one of those things that it's just you have to mentally get through it. And I don't know why that was like a breaking point for me.
Yeah.
Because normally, like, stuff like that, I'm like, all right, I'll push my way through it. I'm only gonna be here for so long. But mentally, it pushed you to the edge to where you hit a level of panic. But then you have to take what you've learned and stay calm and stay focused on the objective. And then it kind of pushed me through. And I think from there, it was kind of like, okay, so this is a lesson to life. Like, if you stay resilient, you stay calm, you stay focused, you can get your way. You can fight your way through anything. So.
Yeah, no, that's pretty interesting. And just to kind of hear you say it will kind of give somebody a panic as well. Just talking about a gas chamber. That's the first time I've heard about like a gas chamber in regards to like that experience. I like just have a few more military questions as well. But to what you your point and what you were saying kind of, I'm at a loss for words. But I know there's another branch of service that does that too with their teams where they have to be underwater for a certain amount of time and they don't bring them up until they black out, and that's so that they can get that fear of blacking out of their system. So that was kind of interesting that you kind of compare. It's kind of similar from what you were saying as well with the gas chamber. I'm still curious about that gas. Like how is that? I don't know. Can you kind of like visually paint a picture for me, because it's interesting to hear. I've never heard that before.
Well, basically with the gas chamber, it's a part of your training, because in the military, you want to prepare yourself for all types of environments. And one of those environments that you could possibly be in when you go overseas is it's being gassed.
Okay.
And so they basically simulate it. So just a small amount of gas. It's not anything that's going to really just harm you too much. But when you get in there, they lock you in this chamber. It's hot. It's really, really hot. You got gases floating in the air, and you're having to, you got your drill sergeant there. He's telling you to say this and telling you to do that, telling you to do this, telling you to do that. And you're having to find a way to do so while you're being choked on gas. You're choked out on gas. Your eyes are watering. You can't really breathe. But you start to realize, like, remember your training. Like, remember to stay calm. Realize what it is you're in here to do. And then when you kind of, and that's where I started to realize, like, mentally, you can push yourself to limits. Because when I finally got to the point where I was like, all right, stay calm, let's get through this, that's when my body started to take over. That's when I was able to speak. I was able to breathe. I was able to move. I was able to do more. So but that's part of your training, man. You just have to learn how to be able to continue to fight through tough conditions. Because, I mean, when it comes down to it, you want to be able to protect your brothers and your sisters on your left and your right, man. Because, I mean, when you go over there, you're a collective unit. So you have to work as a collective unit, and one weak link can hurt everybody. So you want to make sure that mentally you're at the top of your game.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely appreciate your service as well.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
And I also want to highlight, you mentioned like an engineer as well. As well. Can you kind of tell me about that job, or is that something?
Yeah, like being an engineer. So you have vertical and horizontal engineers, and basically what vertical engineers do is they build up. They go overseas, man. They go over there. They excavate a lot of the stuff, and they build up a lot of the fobs and stuff.
What do you mean, like excavate? What do you mean by that?
Like they basically like you clear out land.
Okay.
You clear out the land, and then you build up like barracks or buildings and stuff like that to for the soldiers and everything like that to live in. And it was fun, man, because you learn different things. Like like as an engineer, you learn carpentry, you learn plumbing, you learn you learn a little bit of electrical work, cement, how to lay cement. You learn so many different things that you never, these are things that you can use outside of the military. And when I initially picked that MOS, I was, I'm like, nah, as every young soldier, they want to be infantry. They want to go in and, guns a-blazing and do whatever they need to do. But these are things that, like, a lot of the things that I learned when I was there, I was able to, you're able to use outside of the military. So even like now, if I want to build a chair, I know how.
Yeah.
So and those are also things that like qualities that I want to, pass down to my children. Like, hey, learn everything. Be good at you don't have to be an expert at everything, but be proficient at everything to where you're well rounded. So
yeah, for sure. No, you're definitely right. Those are definitely good trades and skills that you can kind of pass along because you have to know how to prepare everything nowadays.
Right.
Also, I heard you mention rugby earlier. I just want to kind of go back to that because it caught me off guard because I don't know too many people that play rugby, especially not from Memphis. So man. Can you kind of, before I have like a couple more military questions as well, but before you go back into the military, can you kind of answer a little bit about the rugby? How'd you get into the rugby, or what was that about? Was that even in Memphis, or were you playing?
Yeah. Okay. It was in Memphis, man. So rugby's it's a weird sport because rugby was the original football.
Yeah.
And before football, like it was a different ball game, and rugby's so fast paced. And when people actually learn learn what it is they're watching, because in rugby, there's no stop and start to play. It's you're constantly going. So, and then also too, another thing that a lot of people don't know is like whoever has the ball, you don't have blockers.
Yeah.
So it's you against 15 other guys. And there's 15 on 15, so it's 30 guys on the field. The field's a little bit bigger. It's the size of a soccer field, but so when you run the ball, you have no blockers, and you just have support. So the ball is always being tossed backwards to move forward.
Gotcha.
And it was but I got into rugby because I was playing football my junior year, and a couple of the guys that they were super super cool guys that like a couple, just to name a few, like Wade Williams, Michael Maxey, some of those guys that I we grew up together, and we all through high school, and they were just like, man, why don't you come out and play rugby? I'm like, nah, I don't want to do it. Excuse me. I'm like, nah, man, I don't think I want to play rugby. Because looking at it, I'm like, y'all don't have pads.
Yeah.
So you getting hit. And they were like, no, it's different. It's totally different. It's a little different. Like, just come out, try it out. So I went to my first trial, and, man, I got torched. Because I'm out there trying to play running back. Because, originally in football, I was a running back. So
yeah,
I'm out there trying to juke and do this and do that. And you have to learn that you got to be more efficient because you can't waste movement in rugby. Everything is straight ahead. You run the ball straight. You get the ball out backwards. You run the ball straight. Like, it's none of the juke and jive. And you have to be way more disciplined in rugby because the way that you tackle, because neither you or the runner have pads on. So you have to tackle the right way. You have to run the ball the right way. You have to be more protective. So rugby it's actually a growing sport. It's really, really growing as far as like rugby 15s and rugby 7s, which is another version of rugby. It's a more fast-paced version of rugby. It's like 7-on-7 instead of 15-on-15, and it's just nonstop go. It's nonstop go. It's really, really fast-paced, but it's a growing sport. Like you have the Memphis Grizzlies rugby, the Memphis Blues, just to name a few teams. But it's growing fast, man. It's growing really, really fast, and it's actually an Olympic sport. Excuse me.
Oh, yeah, I just seen that. That was recently one they just added that recently.
Yeah, just this past year, man. It was the first year. It was the first year that it was announced in the Olympics, and it was a sevens version, which is amazing because it's more fast paced. It'll bring fans, and when you see like a lot of how fast those guys are, it's crazy. So it's a lot of those guys, man. There's some real athletes out there, and internationally, you'll see some guys that you never thought you would see. So.
Yeah, no, I believe it because some team in the NFL just drafted somebody or picked up somebody that was playing rugby. I forgot what team he played for.
49ers, man. I'm a Niners fan. Yeah.
Is that okay? Is that what y'all saying? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like dude was a beast. I don't know. You know his name by chance?
I can't remember his name, but I know we got I know we ended up getting quite a few players. We got one guy that was a linebacker and another guy I think it was a fullback. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Quite a few of those guys are coming over and they're making some noise. The NFL has actually gotten a few linemen from because those guys, and that's another thing in rugby, like the linemen, the bigger guys, they're athletic and they can run. So when they kind of bring those athletes over to the NFL, they can kind of change the dynamic of football. So
yeah, no, for sure, because that's what I was saying. Because I was just looking at like old rugby films from that from the one guy. So yeah, he was a beast for sure, and he was fast.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Those guys can move.
Dig that. That's what's up. So yeah, appreciate that. Because I wasn't hip to the rugby scene because I don't see it here in Nashville. It's probably played like mostly on college campus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it, like big like high school type of environments, I'm not really seeing it. I guess in the public school type of environment.
Well, rugby is considered a club sport. So like a lot of schools don't have it.
Okay.
And so what Germantown did, because I went to Germantown, I graduated from Germantown High School. What they did was like it was a part of like the clubs, one of the clubs that they offered. And over time, they started getting more funding because when people started to realize, they started showing up to the games and they realized like, hey, this can really draw a crowd. This could be something that, outside of football season, because you got football, then you got basketball, and then, rugby runs right into the spring and the summer. So it's kind of like, hey, we can kind of fill that void. And so that's when it started to pick up because, here in the U.S., we love contacts. We love it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
We love it, man. So,
yeah, that's what's up. I appreciate that. So, I guess back to the military, just a couple more questions. I guess through your 6 years of service, what would you say was like a memorable experience for you that you could say that stuck out with you? Like you say, good or bad or whatever. It don't have to be good or bad. It can just be whatever that just stands out to you. It could be a joke from your friend or you know what I'm saying, anything.
Oh man, the one of the most memorable experiences was when you get to travel. You get to travel and you get deployed and you get to get around and so we got shipped out to Bulgaria for a little while, and Bulgaria was it's just beautiful, and that's one of the things that I loved about the military is like you get to see so many different places, and you would never think like somewhere like Bulgaria, like what's there, you never, that's not some place that you would just naturally just go, but the countryside of like the hills and mountains, and to see the people, how they kicked it old school, man. They were farming. You saw farmers out there. You saw sheep, you saw cows and pigs, and like people were raising, they going old school. They it's crops and everything. And so so we were in Sofia, man, and when you see the countryside, and then not too far down the road you got the ocean. So I can't remember which ocean it was or which sea it was, but it was gorgeous. It was just beautiful. But that was one of the best places. That was probably one of my favorite places because just going through, walking, man, you walk down the street, people are like, you see people, barbecuing on the side of the street. You see old shops where you can, you can grab a few apples and, just pay them $1 or $2. And it was just cool. It just reminded you of something on a movie, and you would never think that it was something like that, but it was really cool, man. It was really cool.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, because that's what I'm thinking in my head. Looks like reminds me of some type of movie that I've seen or something like that.
Yeah. It was dope, man. I'd never seen something like that. Being from Memphis, like technically I'm a city boy, so
yeah.
You don't really see that, but when you go and you get to explore stuff like that, and you realize, that there's a simpler way of living, there's a calmer way of living, man. Those people, and they loved every second of it. They loved it. So sometimes, being more simple, it's just the way to go.
Yeah, a lot of people do love the easier way of life.
Yeah, man. That's what's up. It's cool though.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good vivid experience. I would remember that as well for sure. So I guess after the military, your service time is up. What's next from there? What do you do there? Or do you go back to school then? Or?
Yeah, man. Okay. So I was so I went back to school and dabbled around and wanted to get my degree in strength and conditioning, kinesiology. Bounced around and then out of nowhere, here comes a little baby girl. So she so from there, man, my daughter, that was a turning point for me as well. Like when my daughter was born, man, because and I can't say it put school on hold, but I really wanted to experience what fatherhood was like, because I mean you never know, coming up how you gonna be, because I was always that person that's just like, I don't think I want no children. I think I'll kind of back off, but then next thing here goes my daughter. So so right after the military, shortly after that, my daughter was born, and yeah, man, and went to school, and that's when I moved shortly after. I think I was actually in like the last year or two of my contract, and I moved here. That's when I moved here, you know what I mean? And it was me and my daughter initially when we moved up here. And that's when I started getting into the workforce and started exploring Nashville, and that's, and then the rest is history.
For sure. So how did like the boxing come about, or was it the boxing coming all throughout, or Black Rose personal fitness and training was there first, then you just got introduced to yourself to boxing, or how did that come? Or you been through boxing all through your life? Boxing is a part of my family. Okay. So my uncle, he was a professional boxer. So everybody in my family, we knew about boxing. Like we love boxing. Like,
in my house, like my mom, she was a huge boxing fan. So Roy Jones and Mike Tyson were kings.
Gotcha.
Like they were kings in that house. So it's just like, you know, we watched every Roy Jones fight. We watched every Mike Tyson fight. So they, like I said, they were kings in that house. So over time, my uncles, they would teach me. My cousin, my older cousin, he would teach me. And then, you know, after a while, they were like, let's die down on teaching, because I was fighting in the street and fighting in school, doing stuff I didn't have any business doing. But then I kind of put it on the back burner, and that's when I started focusing more on like basketball, football, and other sports. And when I got up here, I actually met a guy, and he was a real good friend of mine. He was one of my good friends. His father was like, hey, you need to get back into boxing, because I did a little bit of it in the military. Did a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and then some hand-to-hand stuff, and then I was boxing, and I dabbled there. But he basically was like, hey, you need to get back into boxing. I said, nah, I'll do it to get in shape. He told me, he said, well, you just need to do it, and I'll train you. And so I said, yeah. So I'm thinking like, well, I'll let you train me if I'm just working out, because I've always been into fitness. And he just looked at me. He was like, well, if I'm a teacher, you gonna fight.
Yeah.
Like, period. Like, I'm not going to teach you. So I just agreed to do it. And got in the boxing scene. And, I felt like an outsider initially, because I'm originally not from Nashville, and you don't realize like the history of boxing here. Like, there's a long history of boxing, like even champions. You have champions that are from here, and you realize like, hey, there's a long line of great fighters that have come from here. So you got to earn your stripes when you come here. You can't just be one of those guys that's just hopping in the gym, what we call gym fighters. You got to earn your stripes, bro. So that's initially how boxing came to be. I started training and took some time and really started focusing on my craft, getting in shape, and switched over, completely.
Okay, yeah, I was curious about that, like how you got introduced to it. And all right, so what? Well, I also know that you have your own fitness.
Right.
Do your own fitness. Can you kind of explain that a little bit?
Yeah, man. So Black Rose Fitness is a company that I started. Initially, it was called J1 Athletics, and so J1 Athletics was the birth of my son. So one thing they call my son, because he's a junior, they call him J2.
Okay.
So initially, I came up with J1 Athletics, and I rebranded over time. And the reason why I rebranded was because it's just like J1 felt like it just didn't fit. It felt like I was forcing it. And so that's when Black Rose Fitness came, because, one thing, I have Black Roses tattooed on me. I love Black Roses. Don't know why, but I've always been drawn to them and the meaning of Black Roses. And so a lot of people don't know that Black Roses are grown naturally in the wild. A lot of people don't know that they're grown in Turkey in the mountains in Turkey. So a lot of people don't know that. And so with me being just so drawn to Black Rose, and it just became a persona. Like, people just started, they started calling me Black Rose, and then I got Black Rose tattooed on me, and that's when I knew. Then I'm like, all right, so this is my calling. And it actually came. I actually had a dream about it. I had a dream I was in the field, and I was in a bed of roses, and don't know what was going on, but it was crazy, because I was like, it was kind of like, God was telling me like, hey, this is what I need you to do. So that's when I came in with the Black Rose Fitness, and it's been thriving ever since, man.
Yeah, what kind of services do you all offer there with the fitness?
Oh, so yeah, man. So I offer strength and conditioning, boxing. I'm sorry, I didn't specify that initially.
You good?
So I offer strength and conditioning, boxing training, just general fitness, man. Because I've come from a fitness background. I've basically been training since, man, I was 14 years old when I really wanted to get into fitness, because my very first client was my mom. I helped my mom lose 50 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And I was 14, 15 years old, just going outside. We were running hills and doing push-ups, sit-ups, and learning about portion control, because I was one of those kids. I was always in the books reading and stuff like that. So that's when I initially got into it. And from there, I kind of grew into me going to school and learning about it. Then I actually started really, really dabbling into it. And I got my certification. I was 18 years old. So ever since then, it's just been, growing and growing and growing. And, I've tried to obtain some level of knowledge every time I can. So,
yeah, consistently learning. Yeah, you've had that for a while. So, yeah, you've been doing your thing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to put your information on how they can reach you in regards to that as well.
Of course.
I'll put that in all the links. But I have going to ask you also the meaning. You said a lot of people don't know the meaning of the Black Rose. Can you go ahead and kind of share that meaning? Because I was one of those people that don't know the meaning. So,
yeah. So basically what a lot of people, when they look at Black Roses, and it has a negative stigma, because a lot of times typically people picture things that are dark, and it's negative, but a lot of times, like, it's not, because Black Roses, they represent a level of life that people don't understand, because when you in Turkey, they grow in harsh conditions. So they're growing on a mountain, and on a mountainside, it can be cold, it can be really, really rainy, it could be, it could be dry. It just depends on how it is. And so they grow in rough conditions, and over time, it represents life. It represents like fighting through any conditions, like resilience. And so that's what Black Roses, they represent. It represents their resilience. It represents their life, and just constantly pushing through, because they grow in some really, really tough conditions. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, appreciate you defining that for me, because I was curious myself. I know you mentioned Tennessee has like a long lineage of boxing history and talent.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm from Nashville, and I believe like I guess Nashville boxing scene is kind of under the radar. I would say from a lot of people. Would you say like the same thing from like the outside looking in? Maybe not, because so you're within it, so you may not feel the same way. But would you say that like from the outside looking in regards to like at Tennessee and Tennessee fighters in general?
Yeah, man. I think Tennessee doesn't get a lot of the credit that it deserves. Of course, you have people like Caleb Plant, who's getting ready to fight, Canelo, who's, he's the top dog in boxing right now. But,
for sure,
Caleb is just one of those gems. But if you look, you have so many great fighters that are coming up right now. A lot of these guys we train with, and, it's a close-knit group. And I honestly think, like, Tennessee is like more of a family when it comes to boxing. Excuse me. It's more like a family, because we all know each other. We all train around each other. And, it's not as big as like a lot of those bigger cities, like, out in LA or out in Florida, New York, Ohio, like a lot of those places that they have, they have those bigger boxing gyms. So where they get more attention and everything like that. But honestly, it's like, man, Tennessee is like that. It's like those, it's like when it comes down to Tennessee and boxing, it's like, I'm saying this, and we talk about it all the time in the gym. It's like Tennessee is, when it comes down to boxing, is they don't take us seriously, but when we get the opportunity, we take advantage of it.
Gotcha.
And so I feel like there's a level of fear there from other places. It's just like, hey man, these guys are some dogs. They already consider Tennessee some country boys, so they think we're just some big, country boys that, that we're just out, we're strong, we're fast. And I feel like there's a level of fear there between like a lot of places. Like, they want to give Tennessee a shot, but they don't want to give Tennessee a shot. So I feel like it's a double-edged sword, but it's coming. It's coming up, because you got a lot of great guys, man. Just a lot of great guys coming out. A lot of great guys getting some attention, making some noise in boxing now. So I think it's coming along. I think Tennessee's getting their shot now. Yeah,
no, that's cool. And I got like a bunch of boxing questions here. I just kind of hit you one by one.
Yeah.
But for yourself, like, what does it mean for you to be a professional boxer? What does that mean for you?
Man, honestly, like, that's a good question. Being a professional boxer, it comes with a lot of responsibility. You have to always stay in shape. You have to always keep yourself, it's an image, so to speak. You got to stay in shape. You have to keep your diet has to be good. You have to keep the right mentality. You got to be resilient. Boxing creates discipline in people that, they never thought that they had. Because if you eat the wrong things and you come to training, you feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it just creates a level of discipline. So just being a pro in boxing is just, I can't even say that there's like a feeling. It's just that, I'm blessed to have the opportunity to do it. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of people don't get that opportunity. I'm just blessed to be able to do it, man.
No, for sure. That's a great answer. Now, I was going to ask you, like, for yourself, is there, like, who's, like, your biggest inspiration when it comes maybe to your field, boxing or whatever? It don't even have to be with boxing.
My biggest inspiration in boxing, one person I look up to in boxing is, like I said, like Roy Jones, Mike Tyson. Like, those guys were true students of the game. Like, they were like, Mike Tyson's a true historian. You can ask that man anything. Like, if you watch his podcast, he tells you about fighters you never knew anything about.
Yeah.
And when you go look these guys up, it's like Mike Tyson's like, hey, this guy lost at this rate, and he came back and won a world championship and had it for this long. You don't know that stuff. But I looked up to those guys because the way that they were able to do it, they did it with a level of style. And, Mike Tyson, he did it with a level of fear that you can't put into people like these days. So
yeah,
he just dominated. It was just dominance, man, just sheer dominance, man. So yeah.
Yeah, nah, and I agree. Mike Tyson, he's definitely a fight historian because that's all he did was watch tapes and just listening to like some of the stuff that he talked about. He's put me on, like you said, put me on some older fighters as well. And then Roy Jones just been the man forever. So if they would have fought like earlier during their prime, that would have been a great fight to see.
It would have been an amazing fight, man.
Yeah.
I think that fight would, that fight could have gone either way, man. Because I mean, you got Roy Jones, they call him Captain Hook for a reason because that left hook would tag you. Then you got Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is my favorite fighter of all time, like hands down my favorite fighter, and I feel like Mike Tyson was he's another rare gem.
Yeah,
he's one of those guys that if you look at Mike Tyson, I think that if Mike Tyson were to go play in the NFL, he would be successful, just based off just his athleticism. He was just a dominant guy, man, just so strong, fast, quick. He just could have done it all, man. So, yeah. Yeah,
for sure. And I even seen in his old age with the training what they was going through, definitely.
He still got it. He still got it a little bit, man.
Yeah, for sure. And then I was going to ask you, I guess, as well, so which gym are you with?
Music City Boxing Gym, man. City Boxing Gym, training under Coach Cortez, which is Julian Cortez, which is my head coach. And also Stevie G, who's also he's one of the owners of Music City Boxing Gym. They both work my corner, so yeah.
Nice. So I guess you were talking a lot about it in being a professional when it comes to discipline and stuff like that. So what's like an inside look on like a work ethic training and stuff like that? So what are the types of stuff for the people who don't know? Like what does that involve?
Oh man, it involves so much. Like if I take you through just my day to day. I mean, I'm waking up, I'm getting up at 5 a.m., making sure you're getting your road work in or getting some level of conditioning in. And then later on, a little bit later on in the day, I may have clients and, work with my clients and then work on skill stuff, go in the gym, working on your skill, working on your craft, beating down on your craft as much as possible. And then, making sure that your diet is on point because you're working out so much between like endurance training, speed training, and strength and conditioning. You have to keep your diet to where it needs to be. And then like later on in the day for me, that's where I also do another workout or strength and conditioning workout where I'm doing push-ups, sit-ups, dips, sprints, hill sprints, that type thing. So you have to keep it creates a lot of discipline. A lot of people think like, man, that's very excessive, but it's just boxing because in boxing you have every aspect of fitness that you could think of. You have to work on sprint training, because you got to work on fast twitch muscle groups. You have to work on endurance training because you have to be able to last. Your legs have to be able to last you throughout the fight. You have to work on, you have to be limber. You have to stretch. You have to do everything is involved when it comes to boxing because it requires so much of your body and you have to be prepared.
Yeah, for sure. For just randomly just saying fast twitch muscle groups, that's something you wouldn't even think about. Like, I mean, for the people who are active in fitness, but nobody thinks about boxing. I have to work on my fast twitch muscle groups. Yeah. They're thinking about going to punch a bag or something like that. So
right.
That's just good information. Like this, a lot of little bit of tedious stuff that you kind of have to work on and right. improve. Yeah, that's what's up. You kind of mentioned, I guess, within your discipline and stuff like that. I was going to ask you yourself, like, what would you say that would separate you from maybe different fighters or things like that?
Hands down, my work ethic.
Yeah,
my work ethic. Like I was raised that way. Like I was raised by my family. My family originally was from Mississippi, and so they were what we would call now sharecroppers. They had their own farm. They grew their own food. They had hogs. They had chickens. They raised them all, and you learn those old qualities. Like I remember growing up, out with my grandmother, my uncles, and my cousin. It's like when 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, it's like, what are you doing? Sleep.
Yeah.
Like, let's get up. Let's get some work done. And this is on the weekend, summer times. Like when I'm not in school, it's like, let's get up, let's get work done. And over time, you build those habits of, still waking up early in the morning, getting your workout done. Even if you don't feel like something needs to be done, you do it anyway. Even if you're tired, you work out anyway. And so those are the qualities that I over time I've just developed. And I feel like when it comes down to it, when I got somebody standing across from me, I know for a fact I done outwork you. I know it. I know I've outworked you. And if you've gotten anything close to me, then it's gonna be a hell of a fight. So so that's just how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that confidence for sure. So yeah. Also, you mentioned earlier in regards to like people kind of looking at Tennessee, but then Tennessee kind of taking advantage of the opportunity. So I guess finding like competitive matches, how hard is that within like your field or just for any boxer, I guess, in general?
I mean, well, typically it comes down to like the promotion and your management, because they handle that. You got matchmakers that'll match you up with the right guys. It's like, hey, stylistically, you and this guy, it'll be a great fight. And so they handle that. They handle that portion of it. You just want to be prepared. You just want to make sure that you come in shape and ready to go.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Who's like the matchmakers? That's my first time hearing that term. So that's
so matchmakers are like people that they look at your fights, and they look at you, and then they assess your skill level and that type of thing, and then from there they set up the big fights. And it's like say for instance, like when you have, I'm trying to think of just a good, say for instance, like let's keep it old school. Let's say you got Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy Hearns. It's like, stylistically, Sugar Ray Leonard is a fast guy. Tommy Hearns is a hitman, so he's gonna come out, he's gonna throw bombs. And so you got a matchmaker that says like, hey, this will be a good fight. Let's set this fight up because this guy has heavy hands, he has a power shots, he can do this, he can do that. Like he's coming out swinging. Then you got this guy who's a speed guy, so they match you up, and then just to create great fights. So cool. I mean that's basically what a matchmaker does, and then they also too is they set up the fights. They are the people that they contact the fighters. Hey, do you want to do this fight? Do you want to do that fight? And you go in there and you handle your business.
That's what's up. Yeah, I'm just getting that information because a lot of this stuff is new to me, so I appreciate that. So I got definitely a few more questions, but I was gonna ask you like yourself, what holes do you look for like in opponents?
Oh man, it's not so much I look for a hole. It's basically like and this is one thing I love about boxing is why they call it the sweet science, is because even if you don't have holes in your game, what I do is my job is to make you open up. So if I see for a fact that you're not allowing me to go to the body on, when I'm throwing a body shot, if I'm throwing a right hook to the body, you're constantly blocking it, then I have to make sure that I want him to bring his hands up so I can get to the right hook, or you know what I mean? You want to do what you need to do to make them to, it's like a chess game. I'm going to make this move so you make this move so I can do this. And that's the amazing thing about boxing. It's not what holes they have, it's what you can do to create that hole. Yeah. So, and that's what's unique about it.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Boxing is a very intelligent sport because you have to think fast and think quick for sure.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to make adjustments at the drop of a hat. Because if a person throws, say for instance, a left hook, you have to be able to block it and counter it. Like there's an opening there. You want to be able to counter as fast as you can, and you have to think 10 steps ahead. Like you have to make them work your way instead of you working theirs. Because if you're working theirs, you're losing the fight. So
yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of fights, so the date is 9/17/21. That's the your first fight.
Yeah.
Fight date, wasn't it? Cool. So kind of walk me through that day, like from that experience. So kind of share with me, like how was that day for you, like before the fight? And I'm gonna ask you about the fight as well.
Oh man, the build up to that fight was amazing, man. There was so many people that they supported me, and we was ready to go. And on the 17th, when the 17th came around, I was so relaxed. Like I was more relaxed than I thought I was gonna be. Getting ready for the fight. I was listening to my music. It was crazy. I sat at home and I watched Harry Potter for like the majority of the day. I sat at home and I watched Harry Potter, man. And I don't know why I picked Harry Potter, but I was like, I'm just gonna watch Harry. I just wanted to watch something, just to get my mind off of it. And sat and watched Harry Potter. I played a little bit of basketball, and then went into started making my rounds, making sure everybody was good, and they had ticket sales, all that stuff like that. And then I went to the arena, and that's when the nerves hit.
Okay.
That's when the nerves hit. I don't know why, man. The minute I walked into that building, the nerves hit me, and I was still okay, but it still kind of gets you because it was my pro debut. You wanted to put on the show for everybody. You want everybody to, I mean, these people pay for these tickets. You want to give them what they pay for. So
yeah, for sure.
So that day was fun, man. It was a lot of fun.
Cool. All right. So now talk to me. I guess now you're about to go. What's happening backstage before you're about to go to? I guess get ready to go. But I guess you were the first fight out. So
right.
What's happening backstage before leading up to the build up to that?
I was back there with my coach. We were going through game planning. It's like, hey, man, we study film. This is what we need to do. So you're warming up, you're getting yourself together, getting your hands wrapped. So of course you gotta go through all the proper checks with the boxing commission to make sure everything is good, and then you just getting yourself mentally prepared as well, just to go out there and perform. You've done all this work. Because, I mean, the training is the hard part. The fight is normally the easy part. Because you've worked yourself so hard in training that when you finally come out and you fight, you want it to be easy. So that's what was going on. Is we're talking to my coaches, and we're back there playing music, and you want it to be like in the gym. Because typically in the gym, you're warming up, you got music blasting, you're having a good time, you're talking to your friends, you know what I mean? You're talking to guys you train with, and what are you working on today? Oh, I'm working on this, I'm working on that. And so you want it to be the gym feel. You just enjoy yourself, stay loose. And then when it comes time for you to fight, it's like clockwork for you. So, so man, that's what's going on backstage, man.
Yeah, no, that's all good. So now I'm trying to just take everything like visually through the fight, because I was there at the fight, but I'm trying to get some insight, like what was going on in your head. So, okay, they announced it coming out, they announced your name. You coming through all white, clean uniform. I don't know what you call it or whatever, but you came out clean. So bell rings, boom. What goes through your head as soon as that bell rings? It's time for action, I guess.
Oh man, it's rough. So when you find out that you about to get called, like it's like, hey, Jarrett, you're up.
Yeah.
And my coaches are like, hey, remember what we went over? Stay relaxed, stay calm, and nerves and butterflies, and it's just like as you make that ring walk. It's like it's a build up, and it's a feeling of, honestly, the feeling that you get walking to the ring is the weirdest thing you ever feel. Like it's like you question yourself so much as to why in the world am I fighting?
Yeah.
Like why? Like you love doing it, but it's like why am I putting myself through this? And so when you finally go through those ropes, like it's like everything goes away, But this time, with it being my pro debut, I still had nerves.
Yeah.
I still had those nerves, and when that bell rang, it was like a switch. A switch turns on. Like those nerves, like I still had the nerves, but it's like that killer instinct comes in. Like it immediately kicks in. It's like, hey, it's dog eat dog in here. There's no turning back at this point. So you got to go in there and perform, and you want to go in there and perform, and you going in there. You want everybody to come out safe, I mean, it's just a respect. It's a respect thing. As a fighter, you want everybody to come out safe. You don't want anybody to get any injuries or anything permanent, but you also have that switch on them, just like I'm trying to take this guy's head off.
Yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day, I'm trying to take the head off, but you don't want to be hurt. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's a weird feeling, man. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, because the fight actually ended with the TKO in the third round.
It did.
Yeah. So and then I pull up the boxing matching results, I guess, from the athletic commission or whatever, and they got like a 60-day suspension for the guy. So tell me, I guess, can you kind of elaborate on why the 60-day suspension beside his name?
I think it's more so because like he got knocked out.
Knocked out, yeah. Okay.
So like when you get knocked out, they suspend you for a certain amount of time so you can recover.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, but so I think that's the reason why. I don't know if he got anything. I've heard, but I don't know. For sure. If he got any permanent damage on it. So.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was just saying that because they had to buy a few fighters. So, and then depending on like how fast they got knocked out, some were 60, some were like 30-day suspensions. I guess. Right. Yeah. Depending on how heavy the impact was. But that's pretty cool. So this got like really a few more questions. So what are some key takeaways, I guess, that you learned from your first pro bout?
Man, to stay relaxed.
Yeah.
I went in there with one game plan, but it's the first fight, so the first fight is always gonna be, you're gonna be nervous. You're gonna, you got those jitters, but just staying relaxed. Just going in there, staying relaxed. I think I put way too much pressure on myself in that first fight because I wanted that first round knockout so much that I was going for kill shot after kill shot after kill shot. And next thing you know, I'm just like, okay, this guy's still standing. And also, I'm missing a lot of shots that I could have taken advantage of. So I just learned to stay relaxed, go through your game plan, really, really focus and listen to your coaches because they see stuff you don't see. Like as a fighter, I can see one thing, but your coach can see another. So just paying attention, staying relaxed, and just going in there and doing what it is you need to do because when I go back and watch film, it's like, hey, man, I could have got him with this, and I didn't. So, it's just, staying calm, man. So.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So if you had like a dream fight for yourself, like who would you say would be like a dream fight? It don't have to be even like right now because you're still early in the career, but just people that you would like to maybe fight one day that you see are on this pedestal. They may not deservingly have to be there, you know what I'm saying? But you like to maybe go around the two with them, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, Canelo hands down.
Oh, okay.
Canelo hands down. I want to fight, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and the part of the reason why I want to fight Canelo is because, man, Canelo's knocking everybody out right now.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how good they are, he's knocking everybody out. And it's just like, well, I consider myself a power puncher. And you know what I mean? And that's one of those things that people label me as a heavy-handed power puncher. So I'm just like, all right, well, if he has power, I want to see what his power feels like. Let's see if we can go in there and slug it out. So that as a fighter, it's just a competitive nature. You just want to see. So Canelo would be that would be a big fight that I would love to fight Canelo. So
yeah, for sure. I can see you the power puncher as well, especially with that overhand right. Yeah,
yeah, man.
Yeah. For my last question, just gonna ask you, what do you want to be remembered at by the time at the end of your boxing career? Remembered as or remembered for?
Oh man, I just want to be remembered with the greats, man. Just of course, with Floyd Mayweather, he done, he's 50-0, so going undefeated is like now the new thing. But honestly, it's just like I don't really have a fear of defeat. Of course I want to go undefeated. That's my goal. You want to go undefeated, you want to be one of the greatest of all time. But I just want to be remembered as one of the greats. One of the greats, not only just for what they did in the ring, but what they did outside of the ring, like their work ethic, how they went about, just like Muhammad Ali, the impact that he made on just society in general.
Yeah.
How he was able to, hang, you could talk to anybody, hang out with anybody. I've always been one of those types of people that, even if I was a world champ, I don't want to lose myself. I want people to remember me as, just a guy that was just down to earth, that was cool, and just no matter how big I got, I was able to relate to people and, just be remembered as a great for, inside and outside of the ring. So, yeah, that's just the one thing, man. Just being me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That's all we can be.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Well, that's all the questions I have for you today, Jarrett. I really appreciate you joining me today on this episode.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. It's an honor doing this, brother. Thank you,
for sure. And I'll be looking forward to the next fight. So whenever you get some details on that, just let me know.
Oh yeah, man. We're working on something. We're working on something for next year. So we're training, and the next fight we're gonna drop weight. We're going to drop weight and fight in the lower weight classes, so we'll be a lot faster, leaner, and, ready to go, throw some bombs, man.
Yeah, dig that. We'll be looking forward to it.
Thanks, man. Thank you, brother.